I'm going to try and predict the exact standings for the Western and Eastern Conference. I'm probably going to get 99.9% of this wrong, but let's give this impossible task a shot.
Let's start off with the Western Conference. The Western Conference is absolutely loaded from top to bottom. There's about 10 teams I could easily see making it into the playoffs. Now, what order will they make it in? The number 1 seed are going to be the Clippers. With Kawhi and PG coming back, they're going to be nice. Their roster was decent last year, they barely missed the playoffs, but adding 2 superstar caliber players, they're going to leap up the standings. Now for my 2 seed, I got the Golden State Warriors, and I know things are a little sketchy over there right now, but the Warriors won the championship last year. They're bringing back the same team. They're going to be the same old Warriors once again, dominating the NBA. I have the Suns getting the 3rd seed, and I'm a little iffy on this because I think the Suns could fall off. I mean, their roster just isn't as good as it was years prior. They don't have the same depth, but they still have Chris Paul and Debo. That's all you really need to be top seed in the NBA. The Nuggets are back, and they're gonna get the 4th seed, with Nikola Jokic finally getting his help he needs. They have Jamal Murray coming back and Michael Porter Jr. I think they'll have a slow start to the season, but towards the end of the season is where they're gonna make their push to the 4th seed. I like the T-Wolves offseason. I think Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns is going to be a lab experiment that we've never seen before. But I think one guy will carry this roster, and that's Anthony Edwards. I think Anthony Edwards will take a leap and be the number 1 guy on this team and carry them to the 5th seed at the least. The Pelicans are a hard team to judge, but Zion Williamson is back, and they looked really good last year. I mean, they really pushed the Suns to 6 tough games. Now, it's a little iffy on how the fit with Zion will be, but I think they'll work it out, and I think they'll be a 6th seed at the least. For the 7th seed, I got the Dallas Mavericks, and I think with the loss of Jalen Brunson, who was really big for them in the playoffs, it's going to hurt them just a tad bit. But this Western Conference is absolutely loaded. Some teams have to fall, and the Dallas Mavericks are one of them. I don't want to put this team here, but I can't bet against LeBron. I think they'll be able to make it barely into the 8th seed this year. Will they hold on to it in the playoffs and in the play-in? I don't know, but I think they'll at least make it into the 8th seed. You realistically just need 80 to play 25 more games, but that might be an impossible task for AD at this point. One team had to fall, and that was the Grizzlies, and it was tough for me to do it, but with the loss of Jaren Jackson Jr. for a large chunk of the start of the season, he was huge for them. I just can't see them making it into the playoffs. They could win the play-in. It pains me to put my team here, but I gotta do it. I think the Blazers are going to get the 10th seed, and I could see in a world where Dame carries them into the playoffs, but I just can't be biased right now. The other teams in front of them look better. That's all I can say. And I'm praying for a miracle. I got the Kings, and they're barely missing the play-in at the 11th seed. I just can't give them a chance to make it in the playoffs. It's the Kings. They haven't made it in a million years. I can't do it now. I just can't. At 12, I got the Rockets. They're going to be a little bit better than last year, but they're still going to be bad. The West is too loaded for them to even make a push to the 8th seed, to the 10th seed. They're just going to be a pretty bad team this year. The OKC Thunder. I thought the OKC Thunder could have made a little push, maybe even make it into the play-in barely. But with the Chet injury, I just don't see it happening anymore. They're going to be right there in the cozy 13th seed. At 14, I got the Spurs. They're going to be a little bit better than the Jazz, but they're still not going to be that good. I mean, they just don't got the roster to compete with the other NBA teams. No shocker here, and the last seed in the Western Conference is going to be the Jazz. They blew it up this summer and traded away everybody. But hopefully, they can start the tank and get a good pick in the draft. Now it's time for the Eastern Conference, and just like the West, the East is absolutely loaded from top to bottom. This NBA season is gonna be insane. The talent all around is absolutely crazy. For the 1st seed, I got the Boston Celtics, and it was extremely hard for me to put them here because of what just happened. I mean, they lost their head coach, but I still believe in this team. 1 month ago, I was thinking they're gonna be the best team in the East, and I'm not gonna change it now. For my 2 seed, I got the 76ers. I really like what the Sixers did this offseason. They brought in PJ Tucker, who I love, and I think James Harden is gonna have a bounce back season. I think they're gonna get the 2 seed this season. The Bucks are going to be my 3rd seed. They're just going to be really good. They got Giannis, they got Chris Middleton, they got Drew Holiday. They're just going to be a good NBA team this season. As for my 4th seed, this is tough because I went with a risky pick, and that's the Cavs. I really love what the Cavs did. They brought in Donovan Mitchell. They were decent last year. They have such a cool team that I think will work together. I think they're going to get a 4th seed. Some people might have them lower, but I'm a true believer in what the Cavs did, and I think they're going to get the 4th seed at the least. I have the Heat falling all the way from the 1st seed to the 5th seed this year. I just think the loss of PG Tucker is really going to hurt them. They really don't have a true 4. They're probably just going to end up playing Jimmy Butler there, but I just don't like the roster and how it's constructed. I think Cavalry is aging and he's getting older and he's just going down in production level. I think the Heat are going to be at the 5th seed. For my 6th seed, I got the Raptors, and I love what the Raptors have been doing. They got a nice young player to build around, and their roster just looks really good. They got a good coach. They're going to be a good NBA team. For my 7th seed, I got the Hawks, and I think the Hawks are going to be really decent this season. They brought in a guy who I love in DeJounte Murray, who I think will fit perfectly next to Trae Young and really complement each other's game, but the East is loaded. I mean, it's loaded. For my 8th seed, I got the Nets, and this is a big shocker here because they got a really good roster, but I'm just not a believer in their chemistry, and Ben Simmons is coming back, and he's going to need time to really get himself back into NBA shape. Kyrie Irving and KD are getting old. KD can't really put together a full healthy season anymore. He always misses big chunks of the season, like always missing the All-Star break. I just think they're going to be a pretty mediocre team this year. I'm sorry, Bulls fans, but I'm putting you here at 9 because simply I do not believe in your roster. I believe last year they had a negative point differential, meaning they lost by a lot and barely won by like a little bit, and they just never won against playoff teams, better teams than them. And Lonzo Ball is going to be out for a large chunk of the season. It's just not looking too good for the Bulls right now. At number 10, I got the Detroit Pistons, and I'm a big believer in what Detroit is doing. I think Cade's going to take another jump up. I love the additions of all the new guys that they got. I think they really fit their roster. I just like what the Pistons are doing. I think they're going to try to make a push into the play-in. At number 11, I got the New York Knicks, and I know Knicks fans are going to be mad, but I'm just not a believer in Julius Randle. As long as that man is on your team, you're not making it into the playoffs, and it's hard for me to say, but the Knicks are going to be bad once again. At number 12, I got the Washington Wizards. I mean, they have a decent roster, but Bradley Beal and Porzingis is not going to be enough. They got zero defense, and in today's NBA, you need defense to make it into the playoffs, and they just don't have that. At number 13, I got the Orlando Magic. I think Paolo Banchero is going to be good for you and maybe help you win a few more games, but this roster just isn't enough to be playing competitive basketball night in and night out. They're going to be pretty bad once again. It pains me to put this team here, but I got the Hornets falling to 14, and it's because of what just happened. Miles Bridges, we don't know what the hell is going on there anymore, and LaMelo Ball was not good enough to be a guy to push your team into the playoffs, so I think the Hornets are going to try to tank and just play bad basketball to get a high draft pick. Number 15, I got the Indiana Pacers. They finally chose to rebuild, and this is like the first real season to rebuild, and I think Tyrese Halliburton is going to be good for them, but I think they're also going to be one of those teams to try to tank and get a high draft pick.